My name is Shane, and today I'll be showing you how to play Coup by Lone Oak Games. In Coup, you are a powerful government official. You have the opportunity to manipulate, bribe, and bluff your way into absolute power. To be successful, you must destroy the influence of your rivals and drive them into exile. In these turbulent times, there is only room for one to survive. The main component of Coup are the 15 player cards, which the 5 different types are shown here. There are 3 of each type within the 15 in the game. To set up the game, shuffle all the character cards and deal 2 to each player. Players can always look at their cards but must keep them face down in front of them. Place the remaining cards in the middle of the play area as the court deck. Each player gets 2 coins. Each player's money must be kept visible. Place the remaining coins in the middle of the play area as the treasury. Each player receives 1 summary card, which this is the front and this is the back side of the card. These show all the actions that you can take and what they do. The person who won the last game goes first. The goal of the game is to eliminate the influence of all other players and be the last survivor. The 2 face-down cards in front of a player represent who they influence at court. The characters printed on their face-down cards represent which characters that player influences and their abilities. Every time a player loses an influence, they have to turn over and reveal one of their face-down cards. Revealed cards remain face up in front of the player, visible to everyone, and no longer provide influence to that player. Each player always chooses which one of their own cards they wish to reveal when they lose an influence. When a player has lost all of their influence, they are exiled and out of the game. Throughout the game, each turn, a player chooses one action only. A player is not allowed to pass. After the action is chosen, other players have an opportunity to challenge or counteract that action. If an action is not challenged or counteracted, the action automatically succeeds. Challenges are resolved first before any action or counteraction is resolved. When a player has lost all their influence and both their cards are face up in front of them, they are immediately out of the game. They leave their cards face up and return all their coins to the treasury. The game ends when there is only one player left. A player may choose any action they want and can afford. Some actions, character actions, require influencing characters. If they choose a character action, a player must claim that the required character is one of their face-down cards. They can be telling the truth or bluffing. They do not need to reveal any of their face-down cards unless they are challenged. If they are not challenged, they automatically succeed. General actions are actions that are always available for players to take. You can take income, which you take 1 coin from the treasury. You can take foreign aid, which takes 2 coins from the treasury but can be blocked by a duke. You can coup. You pay 7 coins to the treasury and launch a coup against another player. That player immediately loses an influence. A coup is always successful. If you start your turn with 10 or more coins, you are always required to start a coup. With the ambassador, you can exchange cards with the court. First, take 2 random cards from the court deck. Choose which, if any, to exchange with your face-down cards. Then return 2 cards to the court deck. You can also block stealing with this card. The assassin allows you to pay 3 coins to the treasury and launch an assassination against another player. If successful, that player immediately loses an influence. This card can only be blocked by a Contessa. The Contessa's sole purpose of the game is to block assassinations from other players. The Duke is allowed to tax people and take 3 coins from the treasury. They can also block foreign aid, which is where a player takes 2 coins from the treasury. Captains can steal, where they take 2 coins from another player. If that player only has 1 coin, you just take their 1 coin. The captain can be blocked by another captain or an ambassador. Counteractions can be taken by another player to intervene or block a player's action. So, for example, if someone was going to steal with a captain, the other person who's being stolen from can say they have an ambassador and block the stealing attempt. Counteractions operate like character actions. Players may claim to influence any of the characters and use their abilities to counteract another player. They may be telling the truth or bluffing. They do not need to show any cards unless challenged. Counteractions may be challenged, but if not challenged, they automatically succeed. If an action is successfully counteracted, the action fails, but any coins paid as the cost of the action remain spent. Any other player can issue a challenge to a player regardless of whether they are involved in the action. Once an action or counteraction is declared, other players must be given an opportunity to challenge. Once play continues, challenges cannot be retroactively used. If a player is challenged, they must prove they had the required influence by showing the relevant character is one of the face down cards. If they can't or do not wish to prove it, they lose the challenge. If they can, the challenger loses. Whoever loses the challenge immediately loses an influence. If a player wins a challenge by showing the relevant character card, they first return the card to the court deck, reshuffle the court deck, and take a random replacement card. That way they have not lost an influence and other players do not know the new influence card they have. Then the action or counteraction is resolved. If an action is successfully challenged, the entire action fails, and any coins paid as the cost of an action are returned to the player. Beware of the double dangers of assassination. It is possible to lose 2 influence in one turn if you unsuccessfully defend against an assassination. For example, if you challenge an assassin used against you and lose the challenge, you will lose 1 influence for the lost challenge and then 1 influence for the successful assassination. Or, if you bluff about having the Contessa to block an assassination attempt and are challenged, you will lose 1 influence for the lost challenge and then 1 influence for the successful assassination. Lastly, when playing Coup with 2 players, the starting player receives only 1 coin at the beginning of the game. Thanks for learning how to play Coup. Tune in on Thursday to watch us play the game. Bye!